Hey everybody, this is part of our full-length primetime podcast. You can check it out on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, YouTube, plenty more. I hope you enjoy.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the one, the only, Brandon Swanson.
Hey.
And welcome in, as always, to the Primetime Podcast here on Most Valuable Podcast. If you're joining us, welcome in for the first time. If you're on YouTube, hey, I can see you guys. If you downloaded us via Blog Talk Radio, thank you for the download today. And if you're on iTunes, thank you for that as well. But Brandon, this is the day where we got to get through this a little quickly. We're recording this before the national championship. That's why you've got your Derrick Henry jersey on, repping the Roll Tide here today.
Heck yeah.
We're not gonna skip out on anything. We're still gonna have a jam-packed show as always.
We're just gonna have a jam-packed show in about 36 minutes.
We just got to get ready for this national title game that's coming up tonight. But today we're going to talk about some numerous topics. We're going to look at the Cal head coaching search, look at some candidates that could take over that job. We're going to look at the NFL draft, Mitch Trubisky, along with some other names, but mainly focus on Trubisky. They're coming out and people are declaring for the draft like crazy. And then we're going to take a little fun topic and look at high school quarterbacks. Should they look for a pro-style offense in college to set them up for a pro career? And we're going to get right into it. We're going to look at Cal and Brandon. The Cal Golden Bears have fired their head coach after 4 seasons. Sonny Dykes is gone, and this is, you know where I'm going to go with this. You know where I'm going with it, right?
Oh, yeah?
Chip Kelly's the guy, right? He's the guy, right? We talked about best fits like last week on the podcast. He's got to be the fit here, right?
Well, I think he's certainly a guy who's going to be in consideration. And I think that for Cal, they want somebody, and their athletic director even said it, they want someone who's going to be committed. And I don't believe, because they just gave Sonny Dykes a contract extension at the end of last season. I do not believe that they saw commitment from him. One thing that I read was that he was linked to a number of different Texas coaching jobs throughout the last couple of years. So there was clearly something that had to have happened in this year, and I do not know what that something is, and maybe I'm missing something that I should know. But I think that they definitely want to have a solid and sound commitment to their players. They certainly did not feel that was there with the head coach that they had in place. And then I think that they also just, I think they just want something to be better. The best season that they had under Dykes was 8-5, and they went to a bowl game that year, which was good. But I think that they just wanted more than what they were getting. And in the first year, it was 1-11, and then it was, I think, 5-7, 8-5, 5-7. So it wasn't great. Sonny Dykes ends up 19-30, and I think I'm just putting all that into perspective for anyone who is going, wow. I mean, you're just days. You're double digit, like, I don't know how many days exactly, 17 days until National Signing Day, and you get rid of your head coach, and you're going, you're not putting us in a great position potentially, but clearly they thought it was important enough for their players, for this program going forward, that they make a change. And I think that what they need to do now is they have to be very strategic about who they hire as their next head coach. And I don't think you want to just go after the hot name. I think you have to go after the right name. And that's what people forget to do a lot of the times, is that they want to go after the hot name, and sometimes that hot name doesn't always end up being so hot and toasty 2 years down the line. And I think that right now Chip Kelly is the hot name, but
could be the right name, though.
It could be the right name, and I am certainly not saying that it is not, but I think that one thing that they'll have to do is they have to look internally right now, and a candidate right now is their offensive coordinator, Jake Spavital, and he's able to take a team that loses Jared Goff, star receivers, and still have them being the number 10 offense in all of college football. That's impressive. And right now the problem for this team, this Cal team, it's not offense. It's defense. And I think that you need to be able to have someone who can maintain a good offense but establish a good defense with this team.
Well, and for me, I think that just to go off of what you were saying with Chip Kelly, like to me, it comes down to two guys, Spavital and Kelly. And the reason why is Spavital gives you that consistency. You know he can recruit. He's a guy that you can say, hey, he's going to be our head coach. And these guys that you have coming up to signing day maybe feel a little bit more settled down, a little bit more, okay, I'm not going to hit the panic button because they didn't make sweeping changes. I at least know this coach. I've talked to him on the offensive side. I've talked to him through my recruitment along with the head coach. I know things are going to be the same as what I signed up for when I gave them my verbal commit. However, you look at a guy like Chip Kelly, and this is a guy where, yeah, you're right, he's the big name, but I think this is a situation where the big name might also be the right name because you look at what he's been able to do in the college ranks. You also look at what we talked about last week, and the thing that I like most about Chip Kelly in college compared to the NFL is he can kind of control a program like he likes. Look at Nick Saban at Alabama. Can control the program like he likes, can control everything about it. Nobody gives him a hard time, doesn't have anyone to answer to except for maybe the AD, but as long as you're winning games, the AD ain't going to be coming and knocking on your door anytime soon. But not just that, it's a conference that Chip Kelly knows very well. And thirdly, and this is something that I didn't even think of until I heard Wilbon on PTI as I was watching the very end mention it, it's an easy move. He doesn't even have to pack up the moving truck. He can even commute from home if he wants to. It's only an hour drive from Levi Stadium all the way up to Berkeley, depending on where he's living in San Fran. So for Chip Kelly, on his side, this might be a job where he at least thinks about it because he goes, you know what, I am going to sit around and wait for the right one. Location-wise, this could be the right one because he likes the Pac. Well, he does good in the Pac-12. Plus, it's right there, right where he already is. And when I look at it, you're on a side where you get to play Oregon again. You get to see them again. You get to rub it in their face. Stanford, they're kind of, to me, what kind of a team are they going to be next year because they finished third this year? You got a Washington State team that, yeah, they looked good this year, but towards the end, their last few games didn't look so hot. Really, your big competition is Washington right now. And Chris Peterson on that side. I mean, I would love to be in the South a little bit, I think, but the North could be I don't want to say easy, could be a prime time, not prime time. You guys get the word I'm looking for. Could be a good situation for Chip Kelly is what I'm trying to say.
Well, Ricky, Chip Kelly, a 46-7 record in college. And in the 4 years that he was with Oregon, lost the Rose Bowl, lost the BCS championship, won the Rose Bowl, won the Fiesta Bowl. I mean, 46-7. He never had a team with a ranking lower than 16. I mean, it's been impressive. So if he's able to do even half of that with Cal, I mean, when's the last time that Cal was a legitimate threat in the rankings? When's the last time Cal was a legitimate threat with, I guess I would say, when you're going into a big game, when they're going against a tough opponent, when you look at Cal and you go, Cal probably will get the edge in this one.
Let's put it this way.
I don't think that there's been a whole lot of confidence with that the last couple of years.
Let's put it this way. Throughout my childhood and throughout my life, the only big thing I remember Cal being known for is the band on the field, and I was either A, not alive, or B, not old enough to remember watching that game on TV.
I guess I think that Chip Kelly, and again, I know I said it already, is that, you know, he is certainly the hot name. You would want him to be the right name if you're going to be the one to go after him because you're locking him in, but he certainly knows what he's doing when it comes to college. And I think that, could you be scared off by what he's done in the NFL? You could be. I mean, he certainly struggled with the 49ers, but then you have to look at the roster that they had to work with, which is nothing.
That's also the NFL.
But I think that you also have to look and see how he handled himself and how he handled players and things like that. And yes, I get it. That is the NFL. That's a different beast. And I've said that in previous podcasts that the NFL is different. I mean, completely different in some aspects. But I think that when you look at college, which is what you want him to do, you want him to coach your college football team. He has certainly had success. He knows what he's doing. He's going to implement, what he wants to do. We've seen what Chip Kelly is like. He wants control. You give him control, Papa's going to be happy. You don't, he's going to be really upset. But I think that certainly Cal has to look at him. And I think that if they were to offer him the job, Ricky, I don't think it's the wrong move. But if they don't offer him the job, I also don't think it's the wrong move, because that means that they clearly have an idea of where they want to go, what they want to do. I do think that Spavital would be a really good decision. I agree with you. I think that you keep it consistent. It's a face that players would be able to recognize, understand. Other players would be able to then say to a guy who's coming in, you know what? He's there for us. He is a good coach. He's good. He's for the players and stuff like that. Whereas you bring in somebody else, maybe not named Chip Kelly, you don't know about them. You don't know what they're like, what their expectations are, and things like that. Guys, I think have a feel for how Chip Kelly is and how he runs his program, because it's happened. So I think that it's certainly something to look at when you talk about Chip Kelly. Is that the move you make? I don't know, but Cal's got to make a decision pretty quickly.
Well, it's one of those things where, yes, they need to make it quickly, but another thing I'm looking at is, and this is not a huge knock, but it is something that I would look at if I was Cal. It's one of those things of Spavital has never been a head coach before, and it's not one of those things where you think, oh, well, because you've never been a head coach, you can't be a head coach. Of course, like, some guys have got it. They've never just had the opportunity to show that they've got it. But it's one of those things where you could look at and go, we know Chip Kelly's got it at the head coaching level. Spavital, that might be maybe we don't take the move on Spavital. Another thing I'm looking at is Cal. One of the big reasons why they did so well last year in 2015, Jared Goff. I mean, they had a guy like Jared Goff was there. A freshman with Dykes came in. He was there in 13, 14, and then 15 his last year. I mean, his freshman year was all right. His sophomore year was, I'm looking touchdown to interception ratio, 35-7 was pretty good, although they were only 5-7. And then in 2015, 43 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, almost 5,000 yards in that offense. And that's the thing I look at. If I'm a Cal fan, if I am a believer in this football team, the one thing I look at, and I know it's only two guys, but the one thing Chip Kelly has been able to do, especially when he was in Oregon, bring in the guy that, not the guy that, everyone else is trying to fight for, but the guy that he wants to play quarterback. The two quarterbacks that he had during his time at Oregon, Darren Thomas, who was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, ESPN had him at a grade of 80, did good things, a kid out of Texas, good things for Oregon. And then he got a guy, I know he was only a 3-star recruit, 71 grade from ESPN, a kid you guys might know, Marcus Mariota. I don't know if you've heard his name before, but that's something that I look at with Chip Kelly, and you got to think, okay, that's the position. If you can bring in that quarterback for your system, you've got the hardest position picked out, and everything else can fall into place.
Again, a thing that I think for in this situation, the problem for Cal has never been offense. It has not been offense. In any of these times with Dykes, it has not been the offensive side of the football. It has been defense. They give up too many points, and it's great if you can score. But what happens when your offense is doing nothing? Your defense continues to give up points. You're not going to win those games. You're not going to win those games. And if you're looking to try and win a tight game, most likely you're not going to be able to do it. So that's why maybe you take a look at the current Wisconsin former USC guy, defensive coordinator Justin Wilcox.
I was going to ask you, do you look for him then because you want to strengthen that defense?
I'm saying that you absolutely shouldn't count him out, because then you have Spavital there as the offensive coordinator who he's been there for these years when they're putting up these points. Mm-hmm. He understands that. He's worked with Goff. He's worked with the good weapons that he had around him. He's helped to bring this team and keep this team at a top offense. You bring in a guy who's got some defensive-minded background. I think that you could have more balance. Could you struggle in that first year, second year? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think that you ultimately will be getting to a better spot because you won't be solely focused on offense. You'll have some focus on the defensive side as well, and I think that that's really important if you want to be able to put together an all-around successful team.
I'm going to throw out another name for you, and this is one that's going to be a long shot. It's not a defensive guy, but I'm kind of thinking that defensive side a little bit, and it was a name I popped into my head, and it's because you look at the team he was at, and he had some pretty good defensive players, although if you look at him, he's more of an offensive-minded Mad Hatter type. Does Cal maybe look at it and go, let's just pick up the phone, see if Les is interested? I'm not saying it's a serious phone call. It's one of those, hey, Les, how's it going? How you enjoying the winter? Oh, it's nice. What do you think of our coaching job? Thanks. Okay, bye. Even if it's one of those, like, do you pick up the phone and see if Miles would be interested or would even entertain an offer?
On that one, I don't think you have to. To be honest with you, I don't think you have to because I think that between the guys that we've already mentioned, with Spavital, Wilcox, with Chip Kelly, and they probably have some other guys, I shouldn't say in their back pocket, but some names that are in their back pocket that they'll be looking at. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Les Miles is the fit for Cal. I don't know if Les Miles is the fit for Cal. When you go from LSU, I mean, you're looking at it at defensive, I would say, more defensive style. Well, I don't know. Is that right? Am I correct in saying that? I guess Les Miles, the last couple of years, I've looked at him more as defensive with some offense sprinkled in. That's how I've looked at him the last couple of years. Not always like that, though. It used to be offense with some defense sprinkled in. But that's where I kind of saw him the last couple of years, and that's ultimately, I think, why LSU had to say, thank you, but goodbye. And I don't necessarily know if Les Miles would be the right fit for that position. Because, too, if he's coming in there, I think he's probably already wanting a team that's in pretty good shape. Wouldn't you? For Les Miles, I don't think he wants to go to, at this point in his career, I don't think he wants to go and fix a team.
If I'm Les Miles, I am not going to you unless I can look at you and go, here is my criteria for things I would look at to go to if I was Les Miles. Can I go to a conference championship year one? Can I go to a New Year's Six year one? Can I go to the playoff or can I go to the national title year one? Obviously, those last two are really hard to do year one, but at the least I would look at it and go, can I maybe not go to? I'm going to say, can I seriously compete for a conference title year one? That's the main thing. If that's yes, then yes. I at least am seriously talking to the team, seeing what could happen to bring me in. Like I said, it was just a name I threw out there because maybe it's something Cal does. They just pick up the phone, they see what's going on because it's like you said, lately it's been maybe defense with a little sprinkling of offense. And I think of guys that this defense has had, like the Honey Badger, like Patrick Peterson. And I look at it and I go, maybe if he could just pull some of those guys, some of those defensive guys out of Nick Saban's backyard, out of the backyard that used to be Les Miles' backyard, because that's the thing. It used to be, you know what, like each kind of school stayed to their region. Texas kid went to the Texas school. Illinois kid went to the Illinois school. Now it's more of, like, maybe it's because of social media and the world we live in now, but everything is more national to where the kid in Florida isn't going to stay in Florida. He could stay in Florida, but the kid in Florida could also say, you know what, screw it, I'm going to play for Alabama. I'm going to go play for Oregon. There is so much more communication across the entire nation to where if Cal wanted to, maybe they could bring Les Miles in to say, hey, let's tap into this region, because let's be honest, the Southeast region, usually it's that in Texas. produce the best high school football recruits. They're just they put something in the water down there that's just a little bit different for football players coming out. But for Les Miles, I will say it's not something where I'm saying go and get Les Miles or Les Miles, go to Cal. It was just a name I threw out there. And one of the things I was looking at was when I mentioned the quarterbacks that Chip Kelly brought in. And of course, for his system, they worked. The last starting quarterback, and I mean, serious Cal fans can tell me I'm wrong, but from me as an outsider here, I was looking through their list of starting quarterbacks that they have had since last season. Well, this past season when it was David Webb. Yeah, the only guy that I look here and I remember is a guy in 2004. Maybe you've heard of him, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, who's that?
And then right before him, I mean, he wasn't a serious pro, but he was still a solid quarterback, especially in the NFL as a backup, Kyle Bowler. So they went Kyle Bowler. They also had Aaron Rodgers.
For the Ravens, wasn't he?
Yeah, Ravens. And he played for the Rams early on.
Yeah.
He was behind Kurt Warner, or he was either behind Warner or Bulger, one of the two. But besides that, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the last good quarterback. And really coming into the NFL, no one thought that Aaron Rodgers was going to be as good as he is, but he still played 12 games as a starter, 13 in 2003, 12 as a starter in 2014. And that's the last great starter that you guys had. That's, to me, you can say defense, but I think that also whatever coach you bring in, defensive, offensive, has to get his guy at quarterback. Has to.
Yeah, he does. And I think that, again, honestly, Ricky, I'm going to say I don't think Les Miles is even brought into this conversation. I'll be honest with you. I don't think he's even brought into this conversation. I think, if anything, right now, the more and more that I've talked about it, the more and more I've kind of listened to you talk about it.
Talked you out of it?
I think that, honestly, I just think that I would probably go Chip Kelly. I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't want to say I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm basically saying I can't believe I'm saying this, that I would go say Chip Kelly number one. I can't believe it. Mm-hmm. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Chip Kelly I would say is your top guy because of the fact that he's done it and he's done it successfully and he's out there. Not to say that you'll get him, but that's who I would target number one. That's who I would target number one for sure.
It's like I mentioned last week, and I'm pulling this straight from a page from Illinois' book. Widmer came in as our AD in February of, I think it was 2015. That next March said, you know what, Cubitt, you did a good job as the interim for Tim Beckman. We're not going to keep you as head coach. Who did he go out and get? He brought in an NFL, not a college guy. Chip Kelly's a college guy who was in the NFL. This guy's an NFL guy. Brought in Lovie Smith to try to kind of retool this team. And now you're seeing all the billboards all around. Right over here by my house, there's a big "We Will Win" billboard. And we're how far from Champaign? We're a couple hours away from Champaign up here in Chicago. That is something that Chip Kelly can do, especially with Lovie Smith. Who did he coach in the pro ranks? Chicago. Now he's coaching Illinois, same state. This is one where it's technically the same state, but it's the same freaking area. This guy, I know it was a bad season. I mean, come on. But did you expect the 49ers to do anything? But he was an NFL coach in your backyard. You're telling me kids won't want to play for that? Not even let alone the success he had at Oregon. And then it's like, wow, my coach was an NFL coach. What can I learn from this guy? I would go Chip Kelly. I thought you were going to say Spavital. I thought you were going to be the one to go with Spavital. I was going to be the one to go Chip Kelly.
No, that's
what I really thought.
That's why I really can't believe what I'm saying because that is totally what would usually happen. Mm-hmm. But no, on this one, I have literally talked myself into Chip Kelly. I talked myself out of absolutely not even going for Les Miles. I just don't see Les Miles in this position. I mean, I just
brought him up.
No. I think it's a good thing to bring him up, but yeah. I just look at him as I just feel like it would be weird to see Les Miles outside of the SEC. Honestly, I think it would just be really weird.
Or unless it was like a Notre Dame or a school with some prestige behind it. Like an Ohio State, like a Michigan, like I'm not saying Harbaugh or Urban Meyer leaving anytime soon, or like a Texas, like a Oklahoma, that kind of a bearing behind it. That's where I would see Les Miles going to.
Yeah. So, and I mean, Chip Kelly, again, he knows the conference. He's had success in the conference. It seems like it could be a very good fit, and I'm interested to see what we see happen in the next couple of days.
Well, and this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below what you guys think of the whole Cal coaching situation. Who are your guys? Who's the one that you would want to take over that program and be the new head coach of the Golden Bears?
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed a lot of emotion. If you want more, click this video right over my left shoulder. You will certainly not regret it.